1340-96.5 KVGC. On the phone with us this morning is Douglas Viviani of Everything Old is New Again. Tonight and again tomorrow night, he and David Cohen will examine our pop culture, where it came from, why it's still popular, and make radio fun for all of us again. Everything Old is New Again. Douglas, happy Easter.
Happy Easter. Thank you very much. It's a great time of year, time for renewal and new birth and wiping the slate clean and reflection, and some of that has come about with, not to equate Easter with Rosanne, but Rosanne is back, renewed, and it got 18 million viewers last week. It won the time slot. I don't know if that's because it's a novelty, but it got pretty good reviews from everyone that saw it, said that it's kind of even better than before, and they're on their way. I don't know. I really was never a big fan to begin with, but this is interesting because Will and Grace and X-Files came back, and they didn't have really the impact I don't think that this has had. And of course, this Y50 and Walker Texas Ranger with new incarnations of old shows. But is this a trend? What do you think?
Excuse me, I was drinking my coffee right there. You caught me in mid swallow. So, what do I think?
The sugar.
I tell you what I think. I watched the show, and I enjoyed it. And it, to me, it's real life on TV.
I think what you're saying is that they're saying Roseanne is very down to earth and kind of like really what does happen in today's family. Does that make sense?
I liked it. I think it will be a success.
Well, I'm looking forward to checking it out. All the hype and all that, I think it'll get a lot of people interested that maybe even weren't interested in the past. And I know a lot of my friends really did enjoy it in the past. And it's one of these very few, I think, network shows. We talked about last week some shows we really enjoy that aren't getting press and people aren't watching as appointment TV, if you will. I've heard some people actually said it was a sort of a throwback back to the day where they actually sat down at, I think it was at 8 o'clock, I'm not sure, but
7:30.
Sat down and watched it as it was broadcast.
7:30, I think, is when TV used to start. What gets me now is I'm watching TV the other day, and it says, premiering next week or coming in 2 weeks. Or what happened to the TV season premiering in September, a couple of days after, a week after school started or whatever? Now they just bring shows in whenever they want to.
Drive me crazy. They only have like 22 shows a season, sometimes only 13. And, it used to be 39 shows from September till June, basically, and some reruns in the summer, right? It's hard to plan.
And that's when you found out about the Smothers Brothers, about Glenn Campbell. in those. Remember the Smothers Brothers started as a summer replacement. Glenn Campbell was a summer replacement show.
Exactly. So it's hard. You got to use that noodle a little bit. You got to plan ahead. And you got to tape. Well, you really have to tape these shows. You just can't. It's just there's no TV guide. They don't see it at the checkout counter anymore. There's no way. And even if they did, they'd have to list like 50 channels. It's really there's no way to really plan it out anymore. Like, okay, tonight I'm going to watch this. It's just a different world. Anyway, talk about those shows though. Are there any from 20 or 30 years ago that you think they should revive besides what they've done so far?
I'm going to. The other day it was either on Amazon Prime or on Netflix or Hulu or one of those. I was going, clicking through it, and I ran across Rowan and Martin's Laugh-In, but I didn't have time to sit and watch it. So today, when I go home, maybe later on this afternoon, and Teresa's got a big long list of things for me to do today, but maybe when I take a break for lunch or whatever, I'm going to try to watch a couple of episodes and see. I don't think it's going to be as relevant. Obviously, it won't be as relevant today as it was back in the 60s, but will that satirical, political humor and and a lot of it too was sophomoric humor. See if it'll continue to translate. If I'll laugh today, like I did when I was, sixth, seventh grade, eighth grade.
Right.
When I first
watched
it.
Groundbreaking at the time. It was completely different than what than what was on TV at the time. So it really carries the day for some novelty factor as well. I'm curious to see if you see that it has any cachet to this day. I don't know that it will, but that just brings up a point. There's these old Carol Burnett shows you can watch now, taped for a half hour, and those skits, and some of those hold up pretty well. But it's interesting, there are no real variety shows anymore.
Okay, so last night I'm watching TV, and here comes a commercial for a show, and I don't know, do you just click right through the commercials? Do you DVR stuff, and then, or do you watch that? Like, we watch shows about a half hour after they actually start, so we can click through it. Do you do that
if
too?
I'm watching a commercial, it's a mistake if something happens.
So I kept running across this commercial for a show, and it's a cop show, and I don't know what the name of it was, but I know it's been on for a long time because I can remember seeing Tom Selleck in this show, and it wasn't Magnum P.I. But
Blue Bloods.
Is that what it is? Blue Bloods? And it's on. Tom Selleck, my buddy. Tom, you're on TV. I didn't know you were still. Where's that show at? Where do they hide these shows, Douglas? We don't know what's on TV anymore. Remember when you
so many? It's true. There are so many that are there. That I brought my sister watches that. She enjoys that one, and you're right. There's never any. That's a good point. There used to be a lot of coming attractions. Watch this show. Watch that show coming up. I don't see that anymore. Have you seen a commercial, like you said, for that show, or for, like we talked about last week, Gotham? I haven't seen one commercial during another show on the station that Gotham's on that's promoting Gotham or any other shows. We saw it for Rosanne. I definitely saw that for that, but I haven't seen it for any others.
No, you're right. You're right.
That's just something that's clicking in, that they're not even advertising or cross-promoting many shows. Maybe it's here and there, but not happening that much. So you're not aware of this stuff. And that show with Tom Selleck's supposed to be pretty good. Would you watch Magnum P.I. if it came back?
You know what? I don't know. I mean,
like a modern Magnum, would he own that house by now instead of just Robin? You know what I mean? How about Alf? Would you watch Alf if that?
Would I watch Alf? Alf that was a big favorite in our house, and JD had an Alf doll. A friend of ours gave it to him. I don't know if you remember this or not, but do you have Burger King back there?
Sure.
Okay. Burger King ran a promotion. They gave a different Alf doll away every week. We still have every Alf, the collection of those, every single of those Alf. And I ran across it about a month ago, and I tried to watch it, and you know what? It wasn't funny.
Exactly. It was more novelty than anything else, but back in the day, it was, I don't know, this wisecracking Muppet made an impression back then, I guess, because it had never happened before, but now we've seen so many of them.
Hey, did you see Modern Family this week at all? Did you happen to see it?
I didn't see it yet. We've taped it. We're going to watch it on Family Movie Night tonight.
Oh, okay.
So is it good?
All I'm going to tell you is, have you ever heard of a baseball player named George Brett?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, Pine Tar game, everything. I'm just going to leave it at that. George Brett is in this episode, and it's. I'm not giving anything away.
All right, I'll get a kick out of that.
By
the only thing I would say, just to finish up that one topic, is, believe it or not, The Simpsons and Law and Order do not have to revive themselves. They've been on since 1989 and 1990, straight through. I know Law and Order's ended, and then now they're doing the Special Victims Unit, but it's still basically the same show. I mean, that's amazing to me that we're looking back and looking at shows and having them revived and so forth to play back and to kind of enjoy again. These two shows have been on forever.
You know what show I ran across the other day, and Teresa and I started kind of binge watching it over a 2-week period. There's 5 episodes. There's 5 seasons, so we've watched maybe 1.5 seasons right now. Do you remember Ghost Whisperer with Jennifer Love Hewitt? Do you remember the show? We started watching that a couple of weeks ago.
What did you think?
Oh, I liked it. Yeah, it's enjoyable because, as you and I have talked, I like that stuff. You like that stuff, So
just like Buddy George Anderson, basically.
Exactly.
Right? I don't know how many stories they could make of that, and it went for about 4 or 5 seasons. So I've seen it a couple of times. It's heartwarming. It's interesting. it's a pretty good show. I would suggest it's something that could pique your curiosity for sure.
Well, all I can say is on Thursday night I was sitting at home and my phone went off, and I think I've got to adjust this because it went off about 50 times with my ESPN update. Giants over Dodgers 1-0. So
there we go.
I was
How
happy
about that?
I was happy about that.
Put a smile on your face.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Baseball season's back, and but isn't that interesting? You don't even get the box scores anymore. Wait for the box scores the next day. You get the notification on ESPN like that. Yeah, now they have a new thing. As the game is going on, I'm getting notifications of so and so hit a home run or whatever it might be. Have you seen that?
Yeah. Have you watched it? You can actually watch real time the game. You can't see. I mean, it's not like you're sitting watching the game, but they have a diamond. And they'll say, Viviani up at bat, Guidi on the mound, and they show the pitch.
They show the pitches that goes in
everything.
or whatever.
You could kind of remember how the old radio announcers would call the game from the ticker tape, and they would, oh, there's a hit and all that. Yeah, you could do that with that too. So.
It's amazing. Hopefully that gives us some inspiration to enjoy the sport. I enjoyed it so much growing up, and I have a lot of fun with it now. Not as much as I used to, but I do tune in or I listen to talk radio and sports radio and try to hear what's going on and all this. But the thing is, we just had a couple of days ago, Rusty Staub just passed away. Mm-hmm. Now I don't know how big a figure he was or is on the West Coast, but in New York, even beyond his career, because he had created he was the right fielder for the Mets in the 1973 championship season, or I should say National League championship season, because they lost to the Oakland A's right out there in '73. I'll never forget that. Real crushing loss for me as a child. But anyway, and afterwards he raised millions and millions of dollars for the fallen heroes and from 9/11 and their families. And he was just really a great guy. Met him a couple of times in New York, a fixture, and he's passed away a couple of days ago. And it's just one of those things when your heroes, your sports heroes, or your heroes in general pass away. It has a reflecting kind of attitude that you get. You kind of look back not only on your life, but those times. Have you had that happen in any way, shape, or form? Not the sports guys yet, huh?
Not really.
Well, that's good.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. And this is going to sound really cliche and stuff. Sports guys were never my heroes.
Right.
My dad was my hero. And I know that kind of sounds funny, and kind of.
No, I appreciate that.
But you know what I mean?
And
so sports guys, because I've played sports all my life, we're from a sports family, and it's a game. Okay,
right.
These are big men playing little kids' games, and that's the way I see this. I always have seen it.
And I don't know that my takeaway from baseball in the 70s and having a hero naturally be one of these stars, so to speak, of a team is that way anymore. How are your kids? Do they revere the athlete the way we did growing up, or may have, or I did at least at the time?
You know what? I think they do, Douglas. I think JD, who's 35, be 36, he sees them in a different way than Jake and Joey, who are 20 and 23. I think Jake and Joey are. JD had favorites, like Will Clark was one of JD's favorite, baseball players.
Right.
But Jake and Joey have grown up in the day of, you may be, with this team this year, but in 2 years you may be the franchise player for another team, or you'll be here, or you'll be there, or you're caught, snorting cocaine with hookers in somebody's,
right.
I don't.
So they don't, to me,
you understand what I'm trying to say
not
by
to
that?
be your hero, right?
Yeah. Yes. Exactly.
There are kids that loved Babe Ruth, and he was the hero, and it all came from there. And should he really have been revered in what he did off the field and all of that?
Or Mickey Mantle. Do you think if people knew what Mickey Mantle and those guys were doing, that they would? But I'll tell you what. I'll tell you who my new hero is. It's. I'm telling you. It's a woman by the name of Michelle DeFranco. You're making a mistake.
She's carrying the day, huh?
You're making the mistake by not dumping that Cohen character and picking her up.
Well, we found a nice female voice that comes along and on Everything Old is New and gives us a little punch in the arm, huh?
How long have she and David been 20 some years? Did she say the other day?
Yes.
25 years.
21 years.
21 years. Okay.
How about that?
Yeah.
How did she do that? I mean, she's
well, you know David better than I do, so but I can't. She's a saint.
Exactly.
Saint. So what's
and she's
this?
a big supporter of the show, which is appreciated for sure.
So what's this week's show about?
What's that?
What's this week's show about?
Yeah, to say that she's back for her fourth and final, I shouldn't say final, but final for now in this spurt of shows, appearance on Everything Old is New Again. They convinced me last week, or I don't know if they convinced you, that a show about beards actually has enough material to carry the day, but I proposed a different topic for this week, and it's the Justice League against the Avengers, taking a look at the female point of view, or an additional female point of view of the comic book heroes, and certainly with Wonder Woman being, I would basically say, the cornerstone of DC Comics now, with her appearance recently in these movies. She's someone to talk about. And then I know that we've lined up a visit from Batgirl herself in the third section of our show. She's a little upset with DC because she's only been represented in all of these incarnations once by Alicia Silverstone in that flop Batman and Robin with George Clooney. So I know she's got some announcements she needs to make, or was going to make on our show. So maybe make us some news. We'll see.
So Douglas, let me ask you this question: Does Angelica, run around the house playing Wonder Woman? Does Leo, act out Wonder Woman? Not I'm Wonder Woman, but act out that type of play too. Do you let them see these movies, or are they into comic book heroes?
Good question. Leo can't read well enough yet to read comic books. When he does, I will introduce him to those, maybe even my original Fantastic Four comics. I have the whole set, except for number 1 here. I shouldn't say that too loud. But other than that, because, they're worth some money from the 60s. But other than that, we went yesterday to go see the Marvel Universe at the Nassau Coliseum. They have this whole show. I mean, since the circus is gone, I think they've created some new entertainment to fill these theaters, and it was pretty cool. All the Universal characters came out and got involved with basically an live action adventure on stage. Now, with special effects and all that. Leo loved it. Angelica didn't want to go. Angelica's not, she did, and then she turned out liking the performance and so forth because she loves theater. But she's not really big on superheroes at all. Leo is very big on superheroes. I've taken her to see Ant-Man. I think this summer, Ant-Man and the Wasp is coming out with a female superhero, and I think that might, kind of invigorate Angelica a little bit, and I think she might then get interested in some way, because there'll be some character that's female that she can align herself with.
Tonight at 6 o'clock, tomorrow at 6 o'clock, Everything Old is New again with Douglas Viviani and Michelle DeFranco, and that guy David Cohen too. Join us. It is the show that makes radio fun again. Everything Old is New again. Douglas, have a great day.
Thanks. You too. Enjoy the week.
And happy Easter.
There you go.